These are the best blue cheapies. Let's talk about it. Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances. What's going on, guys? My name is Neve. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Before we get started with today's video, smash that like, hit the subscribe, and let's go ahead and get started, okay? So we don't have too much time because we're gonna be talking about 2, 4, 6. Wait a minute, we have plenty of time, but I'm not gonna waste your time. So let's go ahead and get started. So we've got 6 fragrances here, all of which smell like a blue style fragrance, okay? If you're about the blue vibes, if you're about a fragrance that you could basically wear every single day, it smells like shower jelly, musky, slightly sweet, woody, and incensey, you're definitely gonna wanna stick around to the end of this video. So let's go ahead and get started with the first one, and it's Haramain Musk Collection. And this is an eau de parfum concentration. So as you can see for the bottle, it's nothing really to run home about. It's blue, and so is the fragrance scent, basically. The cap in itself doesn't really snap on a place too much, and that's why I pretty much lost the cap. The atomizer looks like so, pretty good, and pretty high quality premium style atomizer for the price. The opening of this fragrance, you're gonna get a pretty decent dose of citruses and mints, some aromatics, and then an undertone of that signature nutmeg, ginger, and some woods, basically. Very clearly a blue fragrance, except with a bit more hints of white florals and woods and less of a focus on any incense. So if you're looking for something that has a bit more of the masculine edge, this one not necessarily not having that, it's just not as concentrated in the woods and everything else. It definitely dries down into like this cedarwood dominant fragrance along with that rose, etc., kind of giving it like a more brittle and drier and a little bit more of a fuzzy nature dry down, basically. The musk along with the brittle cedarwood and the rose, it's not necessarily my favorite, but it's really not bad for the price point. A scent that basically smells like a man who walks out of the shower, except this one, because of those additional florals, does go a little bit soapy, more specifically the lily of the valley. So what you're gonna get with this is, although that blue woody vibe is something that's soapier than the rest. However, for me, I don't necessarily like the much of a soapy, but some of my closest friends actually tell me to send them my like soapy fragrances that I don't enjoy. Sorry I didn't send this to you, bro, but this worked out. Now you know about it at least, right? In terms of the performance, you're not gonna have a problem with this one. It lasts about 7 hours, and actually on Tester Strip, it lasted for like 9 hours. It's one I've had in my collection for a long time, but I haven't worn it too often, as you guys can see. It's one that I've been testing and trying to get myself into. If you like a soapier fragrance, this is a soapy blue that I think that a lot of people will enjoy. The occasions for this one, as with many of the other ones, is going to be on a daily basis because of the fact that it's easy, it's nothing that's too incense-like, etc. Doesn't necessarily smell like anything that you would potentially dress up because of the whole soapy vibe, I should say. So regardless of the fact, school, gym, office, it will definitely work. It's blue, it's rose, it's cedarwood, simple as that. For the price point, it's really not bad. Moving on to the next fragrance I have that reminds me of blue vibes, it's gonna be Historic Olmeda by Afnan. Historic Olmeda has a pretty historic looking fragrance bottle. It's actually pretty different, and I remember picking this up for around $55. Take a look at the atomizer, it's actually pretty nice, wide distribution, and the notes in this one is clearly different, and along with the scent profile, quite a significant difference actually. This one opens up with a little bit more aromatic. It's got juniper along with some pink pepper and cardamom, and you absolutely can sense that right from the top. And in fact, I like it a little bit more than something that's soapy. Now, if you like a more peppery style aromatic freshy, then this one will probably be a little bit more serving of that purpose. For me, that's exactly what I like. I still get that blue musky undertone. It's not necessarily something as woody as this one either though. So although I get that aromatic vibe, the mid and like the core of this fragrance, it's still a little bit lighter, less woody, and still has a certain floral aspect to it. Main difference though is not going necessarily soapy. The dry down of this is seemingly less dense than something of cedarwood, and it's more likely because of the fact that the dry down of this one only includes ambergris, patchouli, musk, and green apple. So the crisp nature of the fragrance is absolutely more evident and more prominent than something like this fragrance. Long story short, if you like a more crisp fragrance, this will serve that purpose a little bit better. Although it doesn't necessarily dry down as woody, it still has a pretty solid amount of patchouli, so you're gonna get an overall woods vibe. I think it's great. I think it's pretty damn good. It's attention grabbing, it's crisp, it doesn't necessarily smell like the most, you know, high-end fragrance in the world, but that's kind of what you're getting with a blue vibe fragrance, right? We're going with something that's mass appealing, pretty easy, pleasing, and something you can wear every single day. That's exactly what this one is. It's a bit more aromatic and crisp while still having some of those floral aspects and a bit less of a dense woody dry down. If you want something that wears light, blue, fresh, and still having crisp nature, this is a great one to go with. In terms of the performance, I got a solid 8 to 9 hours out of this one. It's actually not that bad. Make sure you spray this one on a lot. just like with the other one. I sprayed this one on. I was able to tolerate this one a little bit more because I don't enjoy the soapy vibes. So I sprayed on about 10 times and it lasted for me like 9 hours on clothing. Occasions every single day. And the price, I found this for around $55. If it's less, grab it. It's a great fragrance. Final thoughts on this one is it's pretty worth it, honestly. For 55 bucks, it's not freaking bad. Moving on to the next one. This is called North Star by the Woods Collection. You guys know I love Dusk, and this is another one that's actually pretty damn good. But the only difference in this one, actually, there's a significant difference in this one. So take a look at the atomizer. It's actually kind of going faulty, but generally speaking, their track record is really good. So it's just my bottle. Magnetic wooden cap, really nice looking bottle that's reflective. So this one opens up with, at least the note breakdown says pomelo and raspberry, and then you also have that juniper, violet, and rose. I actually get something even more crisp and slightly peppered feeling than even this Afnan version fragrance. Personally, for me, I feel like there might actually be some kind of pink pepper, unless that juniper berry is highly concentrated, which I'm assuming it might actually be just a juniper berry that's extremely concentrated, giving me this herbal fougere vibe, almost like rosemary, creating like this minty vibe with more of an earthy herbal undertone, basically. And underneath that, I get the whole blue shower gel vibe, but this one being the most woody than the ones that I recommended earlier. It's woodier, it's slightly less towards the citruses, the pomelo, the citrus in itself kind of seems a bit more tropical, and the aromatic rosemary makes this one borderline spicy, basically. It's an aromatic then citrus based fragrance that does this whole blue DNA. So not necessarily the bluest one out of them all, but it's actually pretty damn good. And the performance of this one is something else. This one actually gives me sparkling water vibes. Generally speaking, I get that a lot with juniper berry note. It's gonna give you a lot of that carbonated feel along with pink pepper. So those are the two notes that usually give me that vibe. This one hasn't enough to give it that carbonated vibe. So it has those Sprite vibes basically. And the occasions for this, I wouldn't necessarily dress it up because it could potentially not be everybody's vibe, the whole Sprite and woody, etc., aromatic. But as a daily, it's actually pretty good. Be careful with the trigger because this one performs. It lasts for about 7 hours, but the projection is crazy for the first 2 hours because of those aromatics. So if you like freshies, you want them to last longer, try and get ones with more aromatic accords. You have to enjoy them, but generally speaking, they do project a little bit better. And that's pretty much it. This is one of the most fair priced ones at around $45. It's absolutely worth it if you like those. Think of like Polo Red Parfum vibes. If you like those gin tonic water style vibes, you're gonna like something like this. Next fragrance, Missoni, the original Eau de Toilette. So the bottle in itself, this is a great value fragrance, okay? And the atomizer on these is really dang nice with a magnetic cap. You can actually find this on discounters or on Macy's, and for what you're paying, it's great. Initially, when I first got this, I felt that it was a little bit too synthetic for me, and I couldn't really tolerate it. But since then, my nose has developed and changed. I'm able to actually tolerate the smell, and now it's actually really good. The top of the fragrance says that it has lavender and a couple of different citruses. I don't want to get too fixated on the notes and talk about more so what I get. I do get a zingy ginger along with that lemon vibe and some woods in the dry down. And this one, in fact, seems a little less herbal and aromatic than some of these other aforementioned ones. Definitely not being as floral as some of the ones I mentioned either, having more of a concentration towards the ginger. So this is more zingy, it's more crisp, it has that green apple. I don't want to say it's necessarily more attention grabbing, but it does have a more crisp nature to it, drying down into something that's just straight up woody, basically. Blue, crisp citruses, and woods. As simple as that. And this little bottle is great on performance. It literally lasts all day for me on clothing easily. The only thing, like I said, is my initial experience with this one was a bit synthetic at that top, basically. That lavender carries on into the dry down, ensuring that you're getting the same blue vibe as a lot of these other blue style fragrances. You could easily rock this one to the office and maybe dress it up very slightly. I personally wouldn't count on this one to take you on into like dates, etc. So that's pretty much it. Missoni Wave is an excellent blue fragrance that I think you can rock every single day. For the price, it's around 35 bucks. Yeah, it's a solid ass recommendation and something you could easily gift as well. Nobody's gonna dislike this one. Moving on to the second to last favorite fragrance of mine. This is gonna be Armaf's Iconic. Armaf Iconic is actually really damn good, man. Really good. The notes of this one include a lot of citruses like melon, pink pepper, and mint, but there's also coriander. So spice on spice on spice, except these are not like oriental or too oriental spices. Coriander is relatively lighter, pink pepper is also pretty damn light, and the mint is attention grabbing AF. You guys, this is one of the highest quality ones here. The melon also helps give a little bit of contrast. The zingy ginger nature is absolutely there. And then this one also adds the addition of incense. That's where it takes it next level. For me personally, after about age 27, I personally like the blue vibe that has a little bit more of a maturity. This takes this DNA to the next level because of that. It's got incense, amber, cedarwood, patchouli, a lot of aspects that I find in some of these other style blue fragrances, and some basically. That in itself makes it one of my favorite ones. Envision coming out of the shower and maybe drinking like a fresh, natural mint and citrus style of drink, and that's kind of what I envision with this one. Not necessarily the most natural fragrance in the world, but I have to admit that this is probably one of the more naturalistic smelling fragrances from the brand of Armaf. The performance, it lasts all day. It's gotten me compliments. Actually, this one has got me compliments over all of these. But the compliments were, you smell really nice. You smell clean, basically. So that's kind of the compliments you're gonna expect with this style of fragrance. Occasions, you can actually dress this one up. You can definitely dress this one up because of that incense. It's just next level stuff. And for the price, you can find it 65 and below. I do think it's, although pretty steep of a price, you're getting something that's pretty damn good. For 65, I mean, I had a hard time picking it up myself for that price, but once I did, I didn't regret it. Last but not least, my absolute favorite cheapie that does the blue DNA is going to be Haramain Amber Oud Blue Edition. There's a fine line between both of these, but ultimately what you get with this fragrance is something that smells damn near designer quality. The notes of this is pink peppered, it has that mint, a lot of those citruses, you're still gonna get that zingy ginger, some of that vetiver along with olibanum instead of incense. The olibanum in itself kind of contributes a little bit more of a freshness, but also a bit more of a piney nature to it, even mildly a slight incense undertone. Now, although I personally favored the incense undertone that was coming from the Iconic, the overall refinement that I'm getting with the Haramain version makes me fall absolutely in love. I will say though that you get a smaller bottle for around $60. And I mean, this is pretty damn close. And in fact, sniffing these side by side, there are some occasions where I'd rather go with something of the incense, and there are certain occasions where I'd rather go with the Haramain. So it really depends on the temperature. But these are absolutely my favorite two cheapies in terms of the blue DNA. Both of these go for around $60. If I were to wear something or want to dress it up and feel a little bit more masculine and mature, the incense in this one takes it to that realm. I still think that this one is phenomenal for what you're paying, and also this one being another blue fragrance that I would reserve for a more fresh vibe. If I wanted something that was a little bit lighter and easier to wear, I'd rock this one. But ultimately, the refinement of this one, it's great. And I could say the similar case for the Armaf version as well. All of these are solid ass cheapies. If you want the blue vibes all kind of doing their own different thing, at different prices with different performances. This is exactly what I got when rocking these fragrances. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Let me know down in the comment section if you have or had any one of these and your experience. Make sure to subscribe, and until the next video, peace.